live? Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the Tarrant County Commissioners Court meeting for Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. I now call the meeting to order.
Tim O'Hare, County Judge.
Present.
Roderick Miles Jr., Commissioner Precinct 1.
Here.
Elisa Simmons, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Matt Krause, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Present.
Manny Ramirez, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constance Quam.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Our invocation will be led today by Corey Smithy, the senior pastor of North Elevation Church in Mansfield. Please rise for the invocation and the pledges of allegiance.
Judge, Commissioners, let us pray. Holy Spirit, we invite you into this room asking for your divine guidance for the Judge, County Commissioners. Father God, in an era fraught with many unique challenges, grace our commissioners with wisdom and counsel in their decision-making, illuminating the paths of leadership and service they tread daily. Strengthen their dedication to public service and welfare, and be their compass as they navigate the complexities of governance. Father God, under your watchful gaze, may their actions manifest a tangible blessing upon the populace they serve. Father, I also petition you for your divine protection on behalf of the citizens of Tarrant County and the county's employees. And I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thanks, sir. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, agenda announcements.
Yes, sir. Good morning, court members. A couple of quick announcements this morning. Under reports and business, item E1. We're going to hold that item until after closed. E1. We're holding that, that's under the CDA section. Holding that until after our closed session. Commissioner Court members, H1 under housing assistance, we're holding that one until the next meeting. And then finally, court
members. Is that consent or not consent?
It was consent.
And E1 was consent?
E1 was not consent. And then court members, finally, under the budget and risk management section, C2 through C10, 2 through 10 are being removed from consent. So 2 through 10. C2 under budget and risk management. That's all I have.
Off consent.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, Commissioners Court announcements. Do we have any announcements from any of the court members?
Judge. I don't know if it's appropriate for an announcement, but Commissioner Ramirez, I was at your veterans event yesterday, and it was awesome. You did a fantastic job. That was a really well run. I know your staff worked really hard on it. Y'all did a great job. Our Precinct 3 staff was there too yesterday. But I just wanted to commend you for that. And Commissioner Miles, I had a chance to talk with the Veterans Court folks while I was there yesterday, that specialty court, and 4 of their graduates were exhibitors at your event yesterday, which means they had gone through the program, done their time, and gotten reintegrated. I know reentry is a big thing for both of us. And so I thought it was neat to see how that's working with our veterans. So I just wanted to say, well done. I thought that was really good. That was a great event.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
Yes, I do have a couple of announcements. First, I want to say Happy Black History Month. On this day in American history, today is Rosa Parks' birthday. And we all know that she is considered the mother of the civil rights movement, and she invigorated the struggle for equality and justice when she refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white man. And so she was arrested December 1st, 1955, which launched the Montgomery bus boycott by 17,000 black citizens. She was born February 4th, 1913. She passed away October 24th, 2025. And in her final moments, her final words, she said, "I'm tired." And so that statement serves as a stark reminder of the physical and emotional toll of her fight for justice and equality. And so it reminded me today, as I reflected, while this work is exhausting, I'm not tired yet. Some days I say, I'm so exhausted, I'm tired. There's still more work to be done. We've got to, at this county level, stop the deaths in our jail and work for justice for those who've died in our jail. I'll never stop fighting for the First Amendment right and your Second Amendment rights. And I'll always fight for the right to vote countywide or on college campuses, and to stop your school district from being divided. So that's my commitment, and that's what I reflected on for Black History Month on this day. Second announcement, I am having my second annual Kidney Wellness and Health Expo Saturday, March 15th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Arlington Sub Courthouse. And the key offering that we'll have at this event is kidney screenings. Some of you have heard me before say that I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, didn't have a clue, didn't have a symptom, and don't have a symptom, and I'm doing just fine. But so it's important to me that people have the opportunity to get screened for it. And so the Dallas chapter of the National Kidney Foundation is our partner, along with the Links Incorporated, and we'll be offering cost-free kidney screenings at that event. So that's it, Judge.
All right, any other announcements from commissioners?
Commissioner Krause stole my thunder. I was going to thank everybody for coming out to the Veterans event yesterday. It was incredible. It was the second annual and about twice as large as it was the year before. It is an incredible partnership with the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo that we do every single year. We'll do it again next year. And remember, why we did it was because veterans are important in Tarrant County. And that's how you prove it to them, by having things where you bring resources together and you make it easy for them to get there. We talked about at that event, we don't hold it at some expo somewhere. We don't hold it standalone where we have to bring them there to a special occasion. The Stock Show and Rodeo already gives them free entry to the grounds every year on that day. And so we have a captive audience. We just say they're already there. Let's bring them through. Because for veterans, one of the challenges is actually reaching out and saying that we need help. And so it's an incredible event. Couldn't be more proud of the team, and thank you, my fellow commissioners. And again, the Precinct 4 staff were incredible. Judge, I don't want to get ahead of you. I was going to say something about the security.
Sure.
I mean, as we begin the meeting, I just want to make a general statement about decorum in this courtroom. I'd like to implore our Tarrant County constituents, my fellow commissioners, and all those unable to attend to help us return this place to a body of civility. I think you've seen enhanced security measures today. That is because members of this court have had threats to their safety, credible threats, and that's inappropriate in any form or fashion. And so we'll take those threats serious. We may not always agree on policy, and that's okay, because everybody up here has more in common than they have difference. And I know that policy issues might become controversial at times, and it might be easy to talk in hyperbole and get reactions, but everybody up here knows the reality. And I trust that everybody up here is trying to fight to bring change to Tarrant County that actually impacts the citizens and makes their lives better. This court knows that you can't demand someone resign and they do it. This court knows you have to fully fund departments. This court knows all of those things. And so we also know that speaking about issues that we're not fully informed about, investigations that are ongoing, that is not helpful to the family members of folks that are subject to those investigations. That is not helpful to the community at large. Regarding decorum, I'm asking my fellow court members and constituents, please remember that we're all Americans and we're all Tarrant County citizens. I want my children, your children, and every child in this county to be able to watch this meeting virtually and be proud of the body that's here today, and to be proud of their people that serve their community. right now I can't say that I'd like my daughters to watch this. And so please remember that we get a lot done when we work together, and we're not always going to agree. But also remember that your feedback, constructive criticism has been listened to, and that major moves have been made based upon the feedback that we've received. It may seem like it's turning a cruise ship an inch at a time, but it is turning a cruise ship. So please remember that. Yeah, that's all I have to say, Judge.
Okay, well said. All right, anybody have anything else? All right, now we get to the proclamations, resolutions, and presentations section. The first item up is a certificate of recognition for the Richard Green Scholars. Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you. So I have some very impressive young guests here with us this morning at Commissioners Court. They are this year's cohort of the Richard Green Scholars. The Richard Green Scholars Program is named and established by former Arlington Mayor Richard Green, and each year 6 students representing each of the 6 high schools are selected for a spot in an immersive internship and mentorship program. In addition, they each receive a $10,000 scholarship. So during the recipient's senior year, they rotate through an internship every 6 weeks at different community service and local government entities. I have thoroughly enjoyed all of the hours I have spent with this year's cohort. All of them women this year, no men. We have sat in my conference room and analyzed Commissioners Court meetings, stopping, rewinding, fast forward. Got lots of questions about budget, Helen. And so the intellect that each of these women possess is out of this world. I'm honored to say I know them, and I encourage you to remember these folks' names. They are phenomenal. They are here today with their advisor, and I have certificates of recognition for each of them. So when I call your names, ladies, please come to the front to receive your certificate, and I'll come down and grab a photo with you. So if we'll move this, because there'll be 6 of them. And I'll read one certificate, and then I'll call the names of the young ladies. This certificate of recognition is presented to each of the young women in recognition of being a 2024-2025 Arlington Independent School District Richard Green Scholar for Academic Achievement and exemplifying leadership through service at their respective schools. And so I have with us today Emily Knowles from Arlington High School. Where are they? Oh, they're on that side. Yeah, squeeze. Can you help move that podium? Semi Ubator, Bowie High School. Utubor, sorry. Kelsey Cooner, Lamar High School. Emma Grace Herstrom, Martin High School. Samantha Leha from Sam Houston High School. And Raven Smith from Seguin High School. Let's congratulate them.
Mark, we have to receive and file this. Okay.
All right, big smiles. 1, 2, 3.
Congrats, ladies.
Monroe, and I am the facilitator of the Richard Green Scholar Program. So thank you so much for having us here today. This is the future of Tarrant County, these 6 women. They have lofty goals. They've worked really hard learning about our local government and our Tarrant County government as well. As we do book studies, article studies, different things, philanthropy, we go to Mission Arlington and some other places in our the county. We love coming to Commissioner Simmons' office. Her and her staff are just amazing. So thank you so much for allowing us to come and be a part of this today.
All right, good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Move that we receive and file this item.
I'll second it. So we have a motion to receive and file. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. All right, passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is a proclamation honoring Dr. Jim Chadwell, who's retiring as a longtime superintendent. Commissioner Ramirez.
Yeah, so I have the distinct honor of presenting this resolution and proclamation today. Dr. Chadwell is a legend in Eagle Mountain ISD. If anybody is from up in northwest Tarrant County, you've heard that name. And I'm very honored to read this today. Whereas Dr. Jim Chadwell is retiring after 31 years of service in Texas education, the last 14 years as the Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD superintendent, and whereas Dr. Chadwell is the embodiment of the Tarrant County spirit, born in Fort Worth, he attended Fort Worth and Birdville schools, graduated from Richland High School, and attended Texas Christian University, where he earned his bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees. And whereas Dr. Chadwell has received many accolades for his service, including the 2023 Region 11 Superintendent of the Year, High School Principal of the Year by the Texas Association of Secondary School Principals, and the Saginaw Citizen of the Year. And whereas Dr. Chadwell's dedication, compassion, visionary thinking, fearless advocacy, and integrity will always be remembered by the children, parents, officials, and employees whose lives he has made better with his works. And whereas it is fitting to pause and reflect in appreciation of Dr. Chadwell and his dedication and service to the children of Texas. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby issue this proclamation to Dr. Jim Chadwell in recognition of his many achievements, and we extend our gratitude to Dr. Chadwell for his many years of exemplary service as a Texas educator. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the great seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 4th day of February 2025, and I'd move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve this proclamation. Any discussion?
I'd love to say something. Dr. Chadwell and I worked together a lot when I was down in the Texas House, and I loved when we got to work together because we didn't always agree. And when we didn't agree, he was one of the guys that made me take a step back and think, am I on the right path? Because every time he approached an issue, it was thoughtfully, it was sincere, it was knowledgeable, and it was well-informed. And so you've done a great job leading that district for a long time. It was an honor to work with you for many years in that relationship. But I'm glad Commissioner Ramirez brought this today because you're definitely a man worth celebrating, and thank you for being here today, and congrats on your upcoming retirement.
All right, any other comments? All right, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. All right, it passes unanimously. Would you like to say a few words and come up? Yeah. Were you going down?
Yeah, I'll go down after you say a few words.
Okay. Well, first, I'm just very honored to be recognized in this way. And as I was listening to those things, you know, I've lived in Tarrant County my entire life. My dad grew up in Tarrant County. He was a Fort Worth police officer. My grandparents were here, so we have deep roots. And I just think of those roots and how important Tarrant County is to our community. I also think of how privileged it is to be able to serve. My grandfather worked at Swift's. He was a meat packer. I had grandparents that came here during World War II to work at what they call the bomber plant. And my mom had a lifelong service in schools working as a secretary. I don't think any of them would have imagined that one of their children would be up here in this room right now being recognized. But it shows what happens through public education, through our local education with TCU. It also shows what opportunities are given to people when they just stick to it. And I'm just very, very thankful to serve in this area. This is a wonderful community. There's no place I would rather live than Tarrant County. I'm one of those few people that's in unincorporated Tarrant County, so you're all my services. I don't have city services. But I just want to say thank you. You all do a tremendous job in leading this area. I want to thank Commissioner Ramirez because he has brought such light to our area and growth and development. And I just really appreciate, worked with very closely with now Commissioner Kraus, then Representative Kraus. And I'm just thankful for each of you and that you serve your community. The 6 young ladies that were up here earlier, that's the future. And that's what makes me excited. As I exit stage right, they come in stage left. And just very, very excited to see that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chadwell. Next, we have employee recognition. So I'm going to call our 5-year employees and ask all those who are present to stand. We appreciate your service to Tarrant County, its citizens and its businesses, and to this court. And we thank you for hopefully many years to come. Our 5-year employees that we're recognizing today: Eric Bell, Judy Badillo, Deanna Cabrales, Joelina Carter, Tristan Checkley, Chandler Fontana, Shelley Mayo, Autumn Osmani, and David Eucley. Thank you all very much for your 5 years. We appreciate you. All right, now for our 10-year employees, please stand as I call your name if you are here. Bethany French, Catherine Green, Angela Jones, Gary Jones Jr., Erica Loera, Judge Julie Lugo, Taylor Minter, Brandon Noble, Teresa Rawls, Sarah Rios, Nikki Thatch, Ernest White, Billy Williams, Calvin Withers Jr., and Angela Wolf. Thank you all very much for your 10 years. We appreciate it. All right, now for our 15 years. Please stand as I call your name. Maria Brisson de la Torre, Marshall Cannon, Bernardo Castro Jr., Jane Kamani, Brandon Monty, Sarah Ritchie, Angie Taylor, Pedro Victorin, Miriam Victorin. Do you two know each other? Yeah.
He's like, I don't know her.
Peggy West and Courtney Young. Thank you all very much for 15 years. We appreciate you. All right, now for our 20 years. We have 3 20-year employees to recognize today. Teresa Ashwander with the District Clerk's Office. Hi, Teresa. Johnny Taylor with Facilities Management. Johnny brought his mom with him. That's always good. And Johnny Wright. Is Johnny here with us? Hi, Johnny. How are you, sir? All right, 20 years, 2 decades. Incredible. Thank you all very much. All right, now we have our 25 years. We have 3 people who have been with us for 25 years. Frederick Miller, are you here with us? Frederick Miller, 25 years today, works for the Sheriff's Office, and I will tell you, we are grateful for your service, grateful for your protection of our community. Born in Fort Worth, graduated from Haltom High School, 2 daughters, Elizabeth and Jessica. Fact no one knows about him: buy, sell, and trade Hot Wheels. That's pretty cool. Loves to travel. He has been a jailer. He's been in classification, and he's been in extradition since 2006. Most memorable moments: traveling to Hawaii and Alaska. And what he likes to do the most: spend time with his family. Deputy Miller, thank you very much for your 25 years. We are grateful. Next, we have Eugenia Cundiff, also with the Sheriff's Office. Hello. Thank you for your 25 years. And you look way too young to be 20. You started earlier than he did, I can tell. Or your job is way less stressful. So one of the two. Thank you for your 25 years. We honor you and appreciate all you do for us. Thank you very much. And last of our 25-year employees, Jimmy Willis. Is Jimmy with us today? CSCD. Okay, well, let's give him a round of applause. Thank him for his 25 years. Okay, now we have two 30-year employees to recognize. And the first, in Constable 6 Office, Christopher Williamson. Are you here with us today? Okay, he could not make it. He is a chief deputy. He's actually been with the county for 32 years. Born in Okinawa, Japan. Went to LD Bell High School. 2 kids, Madison and Addison. He likes to hunt, fish, camp, and ride Harleys. He has been inside the county a deputy sheriff, a narcotics investigator, a SWAT operator, a SWAT sniper, an auto theft investigator, and a sergeant. His most memorable time would be the 22 years in SWAT. He has been blessed with his career here at Tarrant County. He's very thankful for all the mentors and supervisors who have helped mold him and prepare him for the positions he has held. Chief Williamson, thank you very much for your 30 years. We are grateful for you wherever you are. And last, we have Reggie Davis from Juvenile Services. Is Reggie with us? All right, so Reggie has been with us also 30 years. Let's give him a big round of applause for his 30 years of service. Combined today, all of the people we are recognizing have given 555 years to Tarrant County, and we are grateful for all of you. I'll make a motion that we receive and file the employee recognition.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. All right, thank you again, all of you. We're appreciative of you. Please know that. And there is a reception for you on the 4th floor. So are you waving at me? No. Okay. Okay. Oh, I got you. 4th floor. So you are now free to leave if you would like to and go to the reception. If you want to stay, obviously you're welcome to do so. We'll take a few moments here while they make their way out.
Addison and Madison.
I know. You want an Austin money?
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to get us those materials.
Yep. Yep.
Is our schedule pretty flexible?
Yeah, it's on. I mean, there's a couple of joint meetings where they bring in people. The chamber brings in a few speakers, and then there's like a dinner or something. But
All right, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda as amended. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
move for approval.
All right, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. Passes unanimously. Now takes us to item A1, consideration of out-of-state travel requests.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the out-of-state travel requests. Any discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, please cast your vote. All right, passes unanimously. All right, now we will add items removed from consent, C2 through 10. So we will begin with C2, which is consideration to submit a grant application to the Texas Department of State Health Services to enhance the Tarrant County Public Health Laboratory Management Information System infrastructure and data exchange capabilities for fiscal years 25 through 27.
So, Helen, I just have a question about all the grants. So it's not any particular grant. So I'm grateful for the grants. Appreciative to the staff for seeking them and going through all that process to apply and submit them. When these grants come to us for initial approval and some come to us for renewal, is there not a report speaking to their impact, like an impact statement? Oops. Sorry about that. The mic was off. So when these grants come to us for initial approval, but especially renewal, is there a report that you could add to the backup so we can see how that grant is, how the county is performing with that grant? Because I'm sure there's a reporting requirement back to the state or whomever. Can you add that to the backup?
We can start adding any of them that are renewals. Obviously, if they're brand new, we don't have any backup data. The departments themselves that have the grant would be required to have the stats, the deliverables that were required through that grant. So yes, we can do that.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. So I move approval of 2 and 3. C2 and 3.
All right, we have a motion to approve items C2 and 3. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second on that. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. All right, passes unanimously. Now brings us to C4, consideration to submit fiscal year 2026 State Criminal Justice Planning Funds Grant Application Resolution to the Office of the Governor's Criminal Justice Division for the Mental Health Diversion Program.
Move for approval.
Second.
Now we have a motion and a second to approve that. Any discussion before we bring up a speaker or two speakers? All right, seeing none. Our two speakers are Reed Bills and Daniel Wood.
I was in the overflow room and I couldn't hear what was going on here. We have been talking about the fact that the jail is not the ideal place for treating and delivering services to the mentally ill for 3 years. Concerned residents have come to this courtroom repeatedly to ask for this problem to be addressed. The sheriff has complained about the problem, and on this point, we agree with him. And yet, the existence of a court program that offers a diversion from jail and a path toward treatment is only just now appearing on the agenda. The program was established more than 22 years ago. Presumably, hundreds of defendants have been spared jail time and instead opted for necessary treatment at the county's expense. Why hasn't this program been brought before the court, with the directors coming to you with presentations on what they have to offer and requests for increased funds so they can do more? The request now is $86,000 for one case manager. Of course you should approve the application. And in addition, you should ask for whatever the diversion court needs to expand the program to offer treatment instead of jail to every defendant who meets the criteria for enrollment. If the Criminal Justice Division won't come up with the money, fund the expansion by acquiring one less armored tank.
And Mr. Wood.
I had a misunderstanding. I'm not speaking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion from the court on item C4? All right, seeing none, please cast your vote. All right, passes unanimously. Are there any members of the court that have questions on C5 through 10?
No, I move approval of C5 through 9. I have a question about 10.
All right, so I'll second that. So we have a motion and a second to approve items C5 through 9. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. All right, passes unanimously. Next would be C10, which is consideration to submit a fiscal year 26 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program application resolution to the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division for the Tarrant County Constable's Body-Worn Camera Program.
So Helen, so excited about this body camera program for the constables. And just had a question about is there a body-worn camera program for the sheriff's office, for the detention officers?
So I do not have a grant that I would be submitting for that, but I know that there has been conversations regarding body-worn cameras and security cameras in the jail. So I know it's inevitable.
I can help with that.
Okay.
The court approved an RFI to go out back in December. Those results, I believe, were due back at the end of December, if memory serves, December 19th. All of that information's been turned over to the sheriff's office, and they're reviewing all of that response right now.
Okay. Could we have sought this grant for body cameras for the sheriff's office?
So we're requesting the grant. We've done this more than once. This is for the constables. This is a 2-3 year endeavor trying to get body cameras for all of the constables. I mean, yes, we could have added them on, but there are pockets, I believe, in the sheriff's office that already have body cams. Is that correct?
I'd have to check out.
I don't know.
But I guess, Helen, the purpose of the RFI was we want a complete body cam program in the jail where everybody's wearing one, so that nothing gets missed, you know. So anyways, I don't think this is apples and apples, and it may be, I'm anticipating the RFIs that came back, and I haven't seen them, that there's a significant cost there, which is fine. I think that it's a priority, but I don't think that this grant, could we have applied with this grant for that?
I do not believe so.
Or can we next year, because I don't think we quite knew the scope. So I think that's what we have to define.
Yeah, that's my question.
In the jail.
We always have to be careful with supplanting if we've already done something. So if the program is underway, then it excludes us from being able to seek grant dollars for it.
Got it.
So, but we could have prioritized.
I don't know the answer. I don't know exactly.
All right, well,
I will
we'll find
find
out.
Rand and get this answer.
Thank
Rand
you.
is the one who has been searching and seeking desperately to get body armor for the constables.
She's sneaking up behind you.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you?
Good morning.
So with this particular grant, there is a limited amount of money. So the constables were able to give us a list of cameras that they needed last year. We were declining funding because the state did not have enough money. There's a cap on this. It's a range of $100,000 to $240,000. The constable program had a fewer number of cameras that we could approach for this particular grant opportunity.
Makes sense.
We're asking for just about $154,000 this year, which is more than they say that we can apply for, with the exception that it serves more than one jurisdiction. So our hope is that they give us the latitude for the whole $154,000. The only reason we were rejected last year is because they said they just did not have quite enough money for the cameras we asked for last year.
Yes,
so
this
is
grant.
a small program.
Right, got it.
Yep.
Thank you. You
Yeah, absolutely.
answered the
Any other
question.
questions, Commissioners?
That's it.
Yeah, we look forward to these opportunities, and we're crossing our fingers with this one. So thank you for your
Thanks for your
opportunity to
work.
apply.
All right, do we have a motion on this yet?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion, a second on this item. Any further discussion? All right, please cast your vote. Passes unanimously. Brings us now to E1. Are there any comments from the Commissioners Court before we bring up speakers? This item is held until we have an executive session, but we'll bring the speakers up. Anything from either court members?
I do, but I think I'll probably wait until after close.
Got it, okay. Okay, then we have Julie Griffin. Following Ms. Griffin, we have Charles Bills.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Julie Griffin from the Tarrant County Justice Network. Are we smart? Are we fiscally conservative? Are we correcting our mistakes? Are we striving for good governance? No, 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 and sadly, no, when it comes to litigation and jail cases. For Anthony Johnson Jr.'s case in particular, it is none of the above. It makes no sense to continue paying law firm after law firm for multiple defendants in a case where detention officers killed a prisoner by asphyxiation in an environment of overwhelming chaos, stupidity, and neglect, subsequently viewed by tens of thousands of people. It is the antithesis of fiscally responsible to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal fees alone and in a single case. The reasonable and honorable thing to do is settle with the family our county jail deprived of son, brother, and uncle, and end the mounting costs of this case. And as lawsuit piles upon lawsuit for other injuries and deaths in the jail to the tune of millions of county taxpayer dollars, that's $3 million plus over the past 3 years, the whole world sees we are not correcting our mistakes. How can we claim good governance when preventable jail deaths continue and our sheriff enjoys complete impunity? It is time to settle the Johnson case and to mandate corrective action by the sheriff and the networks of leadership at the jail responsible for coordinated delivery of medical and mental health care. As to the lawyers, do we really want the jail becoming a bottomless lawyer relief fund? Do the right thing. Do the conservative thing. Negotiate and settle with the family. And use the valuable information these cases provide to get to the bottom of the causes of these deaths in order to stop them. Also, in closed session today, under the rubric of preventing expensive litigation, seriously discuss holding the sheriff accountable by withholding funds from the sheriff's department until he proves up actual changes in jail policy and practice to prevent these deaths. What can you require him to do? Here are a few ideas. 1, have the jail apply for accreditation from the National Commission on Correctional Health Care, the institution that promulgates industry standards. 2, require an outside investigation for every in-custody death as required by law, but which hasn't been done for 3 years. 3.
Thank you. Following Mr. Bills, we have Carla Palomares.
Whatever she said. But anyway, what I'd like to add is this $20,000 is for a employee that's already gotten $30,000 spent. And I'm afraid with all these employees that are in this lawsuit that are going to get more and more appropriations for $20,000 every time. And I strongly suspect the reason we haven't negotiated is that I have a feeling that the Johnson's family insists that the full tape be released of the incident, of his death. And you know, usually when you hear about settlements at court, stuff like that is not, you know, that's part of the thing. So I strongly suggest we go ahead and you know, negotiate this and go ahead and let that full tape out. Thank you.
Thank you. Following Ms. Palomares, we have Joe Palmer.
My name is Carla Palomares, a resident of Precinct 4. This court has continued to show the public that there's not an unbiased oversight over the spending of county departments. Each year, the budget is drafted, amended, researched, debated, and approved. Practices and processes are followed to ensure, hopefully, that our tax dollars are being resourced for our county's needs. I think it's understandable that with any budget, it must be reviewed and reassessed throughout the year as needs and priorities change. However, why has it become a norm that our DA's office continues to make additional requests for increased funds due to the litigation that's ongoing, and much of the ongoing and costly litigation, especially in settlements, being a direct consequence of the negligence of our sheriff's office? It's a domino effect that's leading to reckless and unaccountable spending. Is our sheriff's office reallocating its budget to the DA's office? I doubt that's the case. The buck stops with all of you sitting on this dais. You're each complicit in this reckless spending, and I think that it's a complete disservice to the people of Tarrant County who've entrusted you to be good, fiscally responsible stewards to our county dollars. If this court's going to live up to its standards and expectations it claims to pursue, then this court should call for the resignation of our sheriff as well as our DA.
Mr. Palmer.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Strongly urge you to not continue to fund this lawsuit. If it turns out that the difference between the amount of money that Mr. Johnson's family ends up accepting and the amount that they would have accepted in the beginning, if that amount is less than the total amount you're going to end up paying attorneys, every voter and every taxpayer in this county should be aware of that difference. Another way of saying this is, if you can go ahead and head off this expensive lawsuit by just going to her family or finding somebody that his family trusts and appeal to them and come up with a number settled, that would be a much better way to go about it. I don't know if anybody employed by the county could do that. Somebody close to me went through the court system relating to a divorce and child custody recently, and I was just astonished at all of the things that were going on in that courtroom and that situation that I had heard before, but I couldn't believe it. And basically what I mean is that the system, once you set it into motion, the attorneys and the system, the apparatus, doesn't stop until your money is gone, until there is no more money. Don't care if it's a single mom with multiple kids. They just keep it going until there's no more money. And I'm afraid that these situations are the same or similar. The purpose of the county, the counties, the cities, the school districts, the state, the country, they do not exist so that law firms can benefit and enrich and feed their kids. Do their kids have to eat? Sure. Everybody else's kids have to eat too. It looks really bad. That it seems like when these incidents occur that it's a problem in the beginning. People come to the meetings and they yell and scream. People get carried out illegally. But then they fade off. And again, the applause, the celebratory stuff at the beginning of the meeting. And then when the dust clears, it's just attorneys. It's just law firms and who's friends with who, you know? Not a healthy thing to say. But it's got to stop. And it's got to stop now. Thank you.
All right, that's E1. We will potentially take action after executive session on that item. Next up, we have item F1, consideration of a real property lease renewal with Charlie Guerin, State of Texas House Representative, District 99, for use of office space located on the third floor of the J.D. Johnson Northwest Sub Courthouse.
Move for approval.
Second. Yeah. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I've got some comments about this. So for those who are unfamiliar, this is not the first time that lease space has come to the court. On July 11th of 2023, there was a request for office space for State Representative Chris Turner in Arlington, inside the Arlington Sub Courthouse. That was up for consideration. It was a deal that had been forged with the commissioner that sat in the seat before me and Representative Chris Turner. So I just pushed it through. After we vetted it, brought it to the court, and this court denied that office space for State Representative Chris Turner. And I'll remind you of what a couple of us said while we were up here voting down the office space for State Representative Chris Turner. I appreciate my staff for transcribing that meeting. So Judge O'Hare said, so this representative's office I cannot support. That I cannot get behind that. Before anybody goes to it's because it's a Democrat, I wouldn't support it if it was for a Republican. It doesn't matter who the state representative is. And he said the idea of, we don't even know what the terms are regardless, as in principle, but the idea lease agreement is almost too difficult to comprehend the thought. Commissioner Ramirez said, I don't think any commercial lease agreement tentative improvements are customary, but the end user, the tenant, pays for it. The tenant at this point being the state of Texas. Judge O'Hare agreed. Commissioner Ramirez said, I just don't think that's an appropriate use of Tarrant County dollars. There were some questions asked of budget. I could go on and on and on through this. But Judge O'Hare said, I think we have 11 state reps in Tarrant County. So we're going to do this for 2, 1, 4. Is the county or taxpayers in Euless or Grapevine going to pay for state reps to have offices in places that they don't want that money spent on? How many state reps and state senators are we going to allow to have offices? They go out to the private sector, they go rent space in the private sector. They're already having difficulty with landlords getting tenants. That's happening as we speak. And now we're going to take somebody out of a tenant space, or somebody can actually make money on it and basically subsidize it. So I'm going to vote no on the motion. Judge O'Hare again says, I wouldn't have voted for it either way, meaning Republican and Democrat. So it's going to be interesting to see how this vote goes. They were clearly opposed to this court leasing space, offering space to State Representative Chris Turner, but in the transcription it says any state representative or any senator. And so I can't see how this would pass today other than it will, and you will see the hypocrisy, and you can judge for yourself what types of leaders you have. But they were clearly both against it and spoke against it vehemently. Just not going to read all through the entire transcription.
Anybody else have any comments?
Nope.
Okay. Yep. I do. So there's one key piece, of course, that you just weren't told, which is commonplace, and that is we had an estimate of approximately $246,000 to remodel that and get it ready for what amounted to, I think, less than 2,000 square feet of space. And then the idea that we were going to be paid approximately $1,000 in rent, which if you did the math, which I did back at the time, it was decades, not counting the present value of money, before you would ever be paid back. You would never be paid back. So I thought it was a bad deal then. If that was before us today, I would be voting against it today. If he believes he doesn't have an additional use for this space, then I support it, which I don't believe he does, which is why I support it. But if Charlie Guerin or any other state representative, Republican or Democrat, came to us and asked county to spend $240-something thousand or $220 or whatever the revised estimates ended up being, I would vote against that as well, and that will hold true as long as I'm in this seat.
Okay, and so with regard to hyperbole, that $200,000 number you gave out included the build out of the passport office.
It did not.
And so
it most certainly did not, to build out the passport office, and that was about $460,000. So you're just simply wrong.
And so you were opposed to this. The lease agreement is similar to what Guerin's is. The one for Turner would have been similar to what Guerin's is, correct?
That's correct.
So $1,000, Guerin nor the state of Texas paid to build out any of the space in the office that he's in.
Commissioner, we were building out a business continuity center. So the county had made the decision, the court had made the decision to place business continuity centers in each precinct. And that was easily done in the other 3 precincts because we had conference rooms. We did not have anything in Northwest, so we spent the money to build a business continuity center.
Did the state contribute to that?
No, they were not involved in that decision. That was a court decision.
Okay. And did Guerin's office pay for any of it?
They paid $1,000 for the signage we installed.
Okay. And so we also have a state agency in the Miller Sub-Courthouse. Is that correct?
Department of Public Safety.
Department of Public Safety is there. And what did they pay for the build out?
Commissioner, I'd have to look at that for you.
Did they pay for the build out?
I'll have to check that for you, Commissioner. I don't have that in front of me. I want to say they didn't, but I would rather give you facts.
Okay, and what's their lease agreement?
I'll have to check that for you as well, Commissioner.
Do you happen to know how much they paid?
No.
Okay.
We do have a lease with them, though.
Okay. All right, so no, the state didn't pay for build out for the Guerin space. You're not sure about the DPS space. Guerin pays $1,000 a month. As the judge said back then, we'll never recoup that. In 25 years, we couldn't break even. And so just want y'all to see that this will pass today because he's Republican. If Guerin turned Democrat tomorrow, they'd probably vote this down. So those are my comments.
So this is not apples to apples? Is
No,
it?
it's not.
Okay, so these are completely different scenarios?
Yes, we had made the decision to put in business continuity centers for disaster recovery at the Southwest Sub-Courthouse, the Northeast Courthouse, and the Sub-Courthouse in Arlington. We had conference centers, so we were very easily able to install the systems we needed to do that.
So Charlie Guerin required no market customization?
That's correct. He took the space as is, and the lease includes a provision. The county ever goes into emergency mode and we need the room, they will vacate it for us so that we could use it as long as we need it.
Got it. So apples and oranges. Thank you.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, being brand new to this, listening to why Representative Guerin, has this lease and all the history with it, I think if there's any other state rep that comes in on this business continuity type situation where it's not a huge outlay in money at the beginning where they can use it, and it seems to make sense for that, I'd be fully in favor of. So if there's an opportunity, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, Charlie beat me bad for a state rep race, so I'd love to vote no in some ways, just to say that. But I think it makes perfect sense, and it's been there for how long? How long has Representative Guerin been in the...
2019.
Okay, so 2019, so he's already been in there for 5-6 years. So I'd say any other opportunity like this that comes before the court where you can use the facilities in this way without a bunch of upfront cost, I'll absolutely be in favor of. But if it's $250,000 or others, regardless of who it is, I think I would be against that as well.
Where are the other building continuity setups?
They are in the conference centers at each one of those locations. The large meeting rooms we built out when we built the new buildings, those have the services in place, and if we ever need them, we just go in and we drop things out of the ceiling and put in the tables, and they can become places for a person to sit.
So is the community room in each sub-courthouse?
The conference rooms, yes. The large.
The conference rooms or the community rooms?
The multi-meeting rooms that are in each location.
Okay. So then do you use that as a community room or his office space?
It's currently used for business continuity should we ever need it. Right now it's office space. And again, if we need it, if we go into emergency mode, they would vacate the office and the county would take over it and use it as long as, whether that's a month, whether that's 6 months, whether that would be a year.
And there's also a community room?
There is not. We are building one.
Oh, so you're building a community room?
We're building a small community room so we have that function, but it's a very small room.
Because Garen is in the community room that you have, the business continuity. The community room in Arlington Sub-Courthouse is the business continuity center,
correct.
Which is also the community room, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So you don't have to come build us a community room?
No, those were built out when we constructed the buildings.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but now you're building a community room?
It's a very small room in comparison
But you're
to
building.
the other three.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right, any other comments from the commissioners? All right, seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. All right, passes unanimously. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 3-2. Don't know why I said that. Next up is K1 purchasing. It's a bid on an annual contract for medical examiner supplies, ME's office. I will move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that item? All right, seeing none, please cast your vote. You're voting? Okay. Passes unanimously. I think I got that one right. All right, next up is K2, which is to purchase file cabinets and chairs for the Sheriff's Department. The request is to reject all bids and rebid with revised specifications. Do we have a motion on this?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion before we bring up our speaker? Joe Palmer.
Thank you. This is incomplete. It doesn't, in the agenda packet, it does not include what the bids were, who bid what. It doesn't have any amounts. If there's an agenda packet that's different from the one that's on your website, I'm not aware of that. But it says that notice of the county's intent to bid was advertised in local newspapers as required by state statute, posted on the internet, the Arlington Black Chamber of Commerce, Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber, Fort Worth Metropolitan Black Chamber, the Tarrant County Asian American Chamber. 257 vendors were contacted and requested to participate in this bid process for filing cabinets and other materials. All documents pertaining to this bid were posted on the Tarrant County website, downloaded by interested bidders. A pre-bid conference held on December 18th, 2024 was attended by 4 vendors. 10 bids were submitted and 2 no bids were received. After review of the submitted bids, it was determined that there were flaws in the quality of the specifications, that assumptions would have to be made to present an award recommendation. It says here, it is the joint recommendation of the Sheriff's Office in purchasing that the Commissioners Court reject all bids, purchase of file cabinets and chairs. So I would like in the future for the Sheriff's Department, any department for that matter, to give you more documentation so you can make a better informed decision. What were the bids? Also, why do you need file cabinets? Or do file cabinets go bad? Do they get damaged? A file cabinet to me is a lifetime thing. Now, I mean, if it's got to be fireproof or bulletproof or, night vision or whatever, that's something else. But incidentally, Fort Worth ISD auctions off on LoneStarAuctioneers.com. And I'm not even going to go through them all, but there is something like 20 lots of file cabinets, a dozen file cabinets each, 2-drawer, 4-drawer, wide, narrow. A dozen file cabinets, $30. So, pick up the phone, call Fort Worth ISD, send a truck over there and get the file cabinets you need. I still don't understand why you need file cabinets. If you're going to spend money on file cabinets, I would like for an amendment to be made to the motion. You're not going to vote on it today, but to come back and do something about these variances in the jails that we talked about at the last meeting. The most egregious variance I talked about already, the fact that the main jail is more than 30% over capacity on beds. Another one is, and this could be, you could put a dent in this with file cabinet money. A variance issued in 1990 for door stops that do not prevent accidental or purposeful injury. This variance is approved only for direct supervision areas. This variance has no expiration. So instead of file cabinets, buy some of these safety devices so you don't have another lawsuit. Somebody gets injured accidentally in the jail. Another one, the fire hoses. We'll talk about that later. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, which one? This was number 2. We have a motion and a second to reject all bids and rebid with revised specifications. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. Passes unanimously. Next is item 3, permission to take bids and RFPs. One item. Do we have a motion on that item?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to grant permission to take bids and RFPs on that one item. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. Passes unanimously. All right, next item, we have appointments to various boards, commissions. I have one motion to make for 2 people. I would move that we appoint Will Churchill and Paul Alvarado to the Trinity Metro Board of Directors.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, a second on this item. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your vote. Passes unanimously. And now we are to public comments. There is one person signed up to speak to a closed agenda item, Ms. Geiger. So I'm going to let you go first during public comment unless you would want to wait until we get back from executive session. I take that as you do not want to wait.
First, I'd like to make my public comment. Why does it take months to get autopsies completed?
Okay, well, hang on. Your first one that you're going on is this one that you signed up? No, it's the one you signed up for pending and contemplated litigation. You can either do that one now, or you can wait till we come back after executive session. And then I'm going to call the rest of the public comments in order.
Okay. So you're not going to take the comments about your closed session before you go into closed session?
That's what I'm trying to do right now, is let you talk about that now.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do the public comments in the order that I got all the public comments.
Okay.
So I basically put you ahead of the line, so to speak.
Okay, thank you. This court is spending so much of taxpayers' money on all the legal expenses related to multiple cases. I believe the county, as of today, has already approved spending $570,000 on legal fees regarding the jailers and county, regarding the Anthony Johnson case. Just the last 4 settlements made in other cases have cost the county $3.35 million. Since Sheriff Wayburn took office, the county has spent millions with no end in sight when the legal bills and settlements will end. Please settle all wrongful death pending cases now.
Okay, now the ones that signed up to speak for public comments. The first is Catherine Godby. Following Ms. Godby is Julie Griffin.
I'm Catherine Godby with the Justice Network of Tarrant County. My remarks today are about power. Last week, we heard one commissioner's opposition to the new rules of decorum. When finished, the response was, well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've heard in my lifetime, or words to that effect, regarding specific points. And another response was, well, I haven't heard anything unconstitutional. Those responses failed to address the whole point of the opposition, that is, how power is wielded and the concentration of power. The concentration of power, I believe, was at the center of why we have a constitution in the first place. Now, politics is the exercise of power, I get that. Nevertheless, alarm bells ring when politicians want to amass power not for the benefit of the governed, but for some other reason. As these news articles make clear, there are 4 on elections. Hyder Garcia forced out, forming the elections intimidation task force, trying to remove certain early voting sites, ending a county subsidized program to help pay for free rides on election day. Number 5, trying to move the judiciary under county administration. Ending the contract with Youth Advocate Program, not because it wasn't providing stellar services, but because its website had some bad words on it. Blocking a state grant to Girls Inc. because it teaches girls to advocate for social change. There's a couple of others here that I won't say because of time. But I am a retired Christian pastor. I think all of you are self-identified Christians, and I assume we all take our faith seriously. Jesus taught us, and in the end, he showed us through his very life, that at the heart of power is this marvelous paradox. True power manifests in what looks like weakness, and it emerges from love, not at all from actions like those just enumerated. Here's my point. Human beings who bear the image of God, just like all of us, are being terrorized and are dying in our county jail. Why not use the legal and moral power you already possess to stop that? Thank you.
Following Ms. Griffin, we have Doreen Geiger.
Hello. I'd like to correct the record from last week's session. I feel the brunt of the unwarranted attack on Fort Worth ISD as a supposedly substandard school district personally and professionally. My sons were educated in Fort Worth ISD and have gone on to successful careers. I taught in Fort Worth ISD for 18 years after practicing law for 13. I used my bachelor's degree from the University of Chicago and my legal experience and skills to deliver high-quality education in secondary schools right here on the north side of Fort Worth. My colleagues and I have given, and I'm retired now, but they continue to give their blood, sweat, and tears, not to mention expertise, savvy, and skill on a daily basis to this community. Commissioners Court, last week, when discussing a contract with Fort Worth ISD on alternative schooling, those of you who led and then chimed in to denigrate Fort Worth ISD on literacy, a declining skill across the whole country, should be ashamed. One documented cause of literacy declines is poverty. Connected to that cause is another, a deteriorating social safety net, a condition this court promotes in cutting taxes and funding for JPS or transferring ARPA funding from permanent supportive housing to law enforcement. An example to follow instead is Finland, an international leader in education among the top 10 countries in PISA scores, consistently outranking the United States. It is also an international leader in eradicating homelessness. The facts are these go hand in hand. Ensuring housing, health, and food security in families is essential for students' readiness to learn, high attendance rates, and overall learning environment. I would also point out, starving school districts of funding is not helpful in combating declines in literacy. Please, Instead of bashing our community schools, perhaps you could set your sights on supporting them and the safety net that is the sun and rain for our largely economically disadvantaged students and families in the Fort Worth ISD. Thank you.
Following Ms. Geiger, we have James Trim.
Why does it take months to get autopsies completed on people who have died in jail, especially Anthony Johnson's death that was ruled a murder? After the medical examiner ruled Anthony Johnson's death a murder, the sheriff said it could take possibly 6 months to receive an autopsy report. I understand the coroner's office is sometimes understaffed, but surely a death by murder or a death of someone young should be processed more quickly than 6 months. I believe these are stall tactics to wait out the time within which families can take legal actions regarding their loved one's death. Why is there no autopsy report for Chastity Bonner, who died in May 24? How long will it take to get an autopsy report for Mason Yancey? I am not a doctor, but I think waiting a long time to do an autopsy can diminish the accuracy of the results. I do not know of any autopsy done on anyone who died in the jail in 2024. Please make the coroner's office speed up its work on people who have died in jail. The public joins the families in demanding answers.
Following Mr. Trim, we have Brent Thompson.
My name is James Trim. I am State Representative David Lowe's District Director. Representative Lowe is engaged in the 89th legislative session in Austin, so he asked me to come here and speak on his behalf. First of all, we'd like to thank the Commissioners Court for the resolution supporting the establishment of a state-funded mental health facility for Tarrant County. Representative Lowe and his office have been in constant communication with preeminent health leaders such as MHMR. We are preparing a bill that would establish such a facility that would service Tarrant County and surrounding counties west of Tarrant County. We expect this to be a bipartisan bill. Our bill calls for a facility that would have over 500 beds and fully staffed competency court on premises. It would provide long-term psychiatric care for adults and juveniles that require intensive mental health treatment, and include a secure forensic psychiatric unit for inmates with severe mental illness who cannot be safely housed in county jails. This is a valid role for taxpayers. It would support our justice system, and we must help those that cannot help themselves. Please feel free to call on our office if we can help on this project for our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Following Mr. Thompson, we have Terry Roach.
Hi, my name is Brent Thompson. I am a homeowner in Fort Worth and a resident in the Keller Independent School District. I also happen to be a licensed Texas lawyer since 1999, and I just want to present my personal opinion on matters that bear on the turmoil that's going on in the KISD right now. The issue I'd like to weigh in on is this. May the Board of Trustees of a solitary independent school district in Texas initiate the detachment of part of its existing territory unilaterally just by passing a board resolution? My opinion is no. As you know, since 1995, initiation of detachment has been governed by Chapter 13 of the Texas Education Code. It describes how to initiate the creation of a new school district from existing territory. The first clause of TEC 13103 provides, creation of a new district by detachment is initiated by resolution of the Board of Trustees of each district from which territory is to be detached, or by petition presented to the Commissioners Court. So there are two methods in Texas to initiate the creation of a new school district by detachment. One, by resolution of the Board of Trustees of each district from which territory is to be detached, or two, by petition presented to the County Commissioners Court. The first method, initiation by resolution, can only be used when multiple districts, i.e. more than one, are detaching some of their territory for a new district. This multiplicity of districts requirement was indicated by the legislature 30 years ago when it used the distributive adjective pronoun each in the first clause of 13103. Each has been defined by Texas case law. For example, in a civil matter, as recently as 2022, a Texas Court of Appeals wrote that a commonly accepted definition of each is everything person in a group of two or more considered separately. Even Black's Law Dictionary defines each as every one of two or more persons or things. The other statutory method of detachment from existing territory is by petition, and my time doesn't allow me to elaborate, but your lawyer's already done a really good job of that. To summarize, detachment by resolution is just like making a baby. It takes two to tango. There is no provision in Texas law that allows the board of a solitary school district acting on its own in isolation to initiate detachment by resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Following Mr. Roach, we have Robert Bucher.
My apologies in advance for reading quickly and any errors. This is not Toastmasters, and I'm certainly not a great public speaker. I want to start by thanking law enforcement, those who remain among law enforcement who are committed to the ideal of service and respect. With all that I have been through, I haven't lost the faith, no other option, because strong communities are built on strong police-community relationships. Make no mistake, I know as well as anyone how deeply rooted the problem of corruption is here, how great the need for reform is, starting at the top. We need new leadership in this court, in the sheriff's office, in the DA's office. I'm not new here. This isn't my first stock show. I've lived here in Tarrant County some 35 years or so. Went to Nolan. Judge O'Hare and I both graduated from UT. You defected and went to SMU. I stayed for a few degrees at UT. I taught public school for nearly 20 years, worked in refugee resettlement, volunteered in the community, spoken at podiums like this countless times. I even ran for office. I know this story's me, but that's the story I know. And if the gross injustice I suffered can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. I can provide firsthand knowledge of the conditions and the culture in our jail, a dirty, dangerous, deplorable place. Because I've been there twice. Quick story of two arrests. First was when I was a teenager in the mid-'80s, dabbling in juvenile delinquency. The arrest was the best thing that could have happened to me. Felony theft because the value of the radar detectors was such. Arrested at night, out the next morning, more than fair terms of a deferred adjudication. Never wanted to go back, but no complaints about treatment. I was a threat to the public. The arrest was good police work that put my life back on track. Second arrest was last July, arrested for interference with public duties, aka filming the police. But the real reason was what you're seeing right now. Tell the truth, demand transparency and accountability, expose criminal behavior by those with the power, and you risk the most vindictive retaliation imaginable. I can't begin to describe how an arrest impacts one's life. There is no innocent before guilty here. The weaponization of the justice system is right here. I was held for 2 days, subject to mild torture, feared for my safety, and was appalled at every moment. The conditions and the culture, again, deplorable. And remember, no one who's just been arrested has been found guilty. They haven't had their day in court. My 2 days in court ended Thursday with 2 not guilty verdicts returned within 30 minutes or so. The DA's office put all effort into convicting me of a Class B misdemeanor. That's what our top prosecutors, Bill Vassar, is doing these days, targeting political prisoners. But the jury saw him for what he is, a condescending con man, a snake oil salesman in a slick suit. But more than anything, they saw the truth in that courtroom. Instead of being a perpetrator, a criminal, I was a victim, as the body camera showed that I was repeatedly assaulted by Officer Matlack of the Benbrook Police Department. So I'm here to demand that Officer Matlack be charged with those for assault. I'm here to tell you that the window of opportunity for addressing the harm I've suffered is closing soon. I seek justice for myself because I know there are countless who don't have that opportunity.
All right, following Mr. Bucher, we have Janelle Johnson.
It brings me no pleasure to have to keep coming to this podium because I would love to come to this podium and give more praise than I would, have to come here and just absolutely berate this courtroom. What you see here in this bag is my son's property, right, with the CID number on it. Inside here is 10 medicines, and I'm appalled that it was never given to him, prescribed by his cardiologist. So in here is 10 medicines. Right now he's only getting 5 of that according to the medical records request I got. So you take 10 of these, 5 of these away, and guess what you got? You got a problem. From a heart patient, you have a problem. You say, well, you don't need this medicine. They're making fly by the seat of their pants decisions, which is what they had put inside all the notes in the medical records, stating we need to get him somewhere else because we can't handle him. We do not have the medical professionals, nor do we have these specialists to deal with this complexity of a case, which was stated by a nurse. And yet he still sits in the jail. Because a judge felt like, let's just go with the judicial side, not what the scales of justice is, what's right and what's wrong. She didn't want to hear none of the facts. She refused to. She struck down our attorney every time he brought up case law. She said, nope, I don't want to hear it. Well, which you know you have to. You have no choice. That's why they have opinions for it. But yet he still sits in there swollen. I just visited him yesterday, and he was swollen, which means he's going into congenital heart failure, which he already is. He's pushed further into it, which means another death. And I have to weigh that on my conscience and my shoulders, and that hurts. But nobody's asking questions but one. I would be saying, what are y'all doing, JPS? What in the hell are y'all doing? Can I use that word? If I can, on bar. What are we, why? Why is this happening? Well, his blood pressure is going up. Before he ever went to jail, his blood pressure was fine on all 10 medicines, but now he's on 5 and his blood pressure is going down, which means his Fontaine is failing. It's not pumping adequately. He's not getting the proper protein in there. I mean, yeah, he can get all the commissary he wants, but that's not enough when you're dumping out more than you're putting in, which comes from his PLE, which is his complication where all your protein dumps in your stool. So you have to constantly have protein, but to be sitting in the jail because of a false accusation and a flawed judicial system is crazy. I would, honestly, with all the judges that I've seen here today, and all the ones that I've came across, I would squander their budget until they can show me they can act accordingly with what they have. Make them do their job. That's not hard. Hey, look, you're not going to get the special, witnesses to come in here and do that. You're going to have to learn how to read. It's not hard. I have worked in corrections for 10 years, and I've seen corruption beyond belief, which is why I walked away. I couldn't do it anymore. I mean, why would I want to sit here and support something that I see day in, day out, that's straight corruption? Not everybody, but it was enough. If you look at TDCJ right now, they're having assaults and deaths, and people are hanging, I believe because they're understaffed.
Thank you. Following Ms. Johnson, we have Linda Hanratty.
To Mr. Kraus and Mr. Miles, and I'm gonna keep this short and brief because it don't take 3 minutes for what I have to say. Have you guys seen the full 15-minute video? Unredacted. Mr. Kraus, since you're so well versed in the Constitution, since you wanted to point that out, Mr. Constitution, did you recognize and see whose rights were violated? Because so far, it looks like you're voting on the side which makes no change. Do you also know why, when I was here, one of the first times, the reason why I was kicked out? It wasn't because of me making a huge commotion. It's because I was demanding the attention you're giving me now. I was demanding that from O'Hare after what happened, knowing the nature of that video. Like I said, the truth is revealed. You notice that there's a metal detector outside because you guys' life was threatened, just like that. That rules change within 2 weeks. But let us come up here every 2 weeks for almost a year trying to get you guys to do the same exact thing, and yet y'all vote on it. Did you also know that us as a family, we had to track down our own commissioner for our own precinct to demand and try to see, are you here in our family, and have nothing's changed yet, but has time to make sure that's taken care of because your lives are threatened. It's funny how you guys know how to do that. Truth, right out here. Have you seen that? Don't go over here and springing off all constitutions, and don't go over here springing off with your knowledge, and yet you're voting and you're siding with somebody who obviously doesn't even know what empathy is. Don't not twice with the same voice. Do you know that?
I didn't know.
Obviously. Because your decision is what's going to cause us even more. I already know how Ramirez is doing, and you already know how your boss is. So, residents, look outside. Remember all the changes that they made in 2 weeks because their life was threatened. And yet you have people hired with experience. And don't do anything about it. Actually, give them more money. Give them more praise. Remember that when you be having your backhand discussions. Don't act like you don't know what we're talking about and what is due to us. And stop letting the residents think that you guys are doing an honorable job, and yet you don't know why we're up here every 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure that's in the Constitution as well.
Following Ms. Hanratty, we have Zam Khan Leon Joseph.
Linda Hanratty, Precinct 4. Mine's very unemotional, so anyway. On the current Commissioners Court agenda alone, there were at least 10 applications for grants. Most were to the governor, but most likely passed through grants from the federal government. The Home Partnership Program is a direct federal grant under the American Rescue Plan. The Trump administration ordered a freeze on disbursement of federal funding. A federal court paused the freeze. The administration rescinded the freeze, though the Office of Management and Budget may or may not be honoring the freeze pause. In short, there's confusion about what federal grants will or will not be frozen and how deep the proposed budget cuts will be for fiscal year 2025, since the federal government is talking about massive cuts. I'm assuming some office in county government is developing an assessment of the federal grants the county currently receives and developing a plan for commissioners to mitigate, where possible, the negative impacts of such funding freeze or possible federal budget cuts to existing county programs. I had mistakenly thought it would be the Risk Assessment Board, so that's where I was going to talk. But apparently they don't have anything to do with federal grants, but I would think they would have to do with risk. Anyway, I would like to know the percentage of the county budget that is dependent on federal funding and be assured that the county is assessing the risk of losing all or part of this funding with the hope that such assessment will be made public as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Following Mr. Joseph, we have Carla Palomares. No, Mr. Joseph or Miss Joseph? Okay. All right, Carla Palomares is next. Following Ms. Palomares is Daniel Wood.
My name is Carla Palomares, a resident of Precinct 4. 4 days ago, deputies from Sheriff Wayborn's office served a mental health warrant for a 19-year-old young man whose name is Christopher Guerrero, a young man who is experiencing a mental health crisis. That young man is dead from being shot in his own home. That was the outcome of mental health training. That was the outcome of de-escalation training. The county's best team being led by the man who runs jail like a Cadillac model. Is this what we can start to expect from our sheriff's office now? That the concerns of our jail's practices will now be expanded to people's homes when warrants are being served? I guess if we murder people experiencing mental health crises before we get them in the jail, we won't have to worry about overcrowding. That might be one way to decrease criticism being placed on the jail. That's how we show people we care about people's mental health, according to everybody here. As I mentioned last time I was here, what perception has this court and sheriff created for the people around their roles in serving this county? Deep distrust, corruption, lack of transparency, gross misuse of funds, arrogance, incompetence, negligence, not for the people. What are you going to do about this? One thing you can do is immediately release the full unedited video of the incident that led to the murder of Anthony Johnson Jr. and bring everyone from MHMR, JPS, the Tarrant County Jail to light who must be held accountable for this tragedy. And the other thing you can do is fire Bill Wayborn.
Following Mr. Wood, we have Faith Bussey.
Good afternoon. I showed up to my first Commissioner Court meeting about 4 weeks after my friend Mason Yancey died in our county jail, and all I've witnessed so far is this court clamping down hard on so-called disruptions. We have the added security that we've had this morning that was like instantaneously fixed to the point where a man was put in the same county jail for clapping for 3 seconds. And nobody bothered to question some of the more ridiculous provisions of the policy. Change, for example, the idea that we have to appeal a criminal trespass with the Tarrant County Sexually Oriented Business Board. Who are the members of that board? I can't find any current members, and they also meet when they have business in front of them. Will they consider an appeal to a criminal trespass charge a business for which they need to meet? Did they agree to this? But where you see distractions, my friends and I see more reasons to keep showing up and keep speaking out about all the issues we are finding with our county jail and its leadership. When the Department of Justice issued its site visit report, they gave multiple recommendations to improve our jail. I want to know how many of these recommendations have been implemented. As one example, they recommended simply having a multidisciplinary huddle each day for 10 minutes. I work in construction, and at the start of every day, I have to take my guys through the ground rules of this particular thing is dangerous, this thing is dangerous. What are the processes that we're going to do to try to mitigate the dangers? Every day, it takes 15 to 30 minutes. I'm sure all of these sheriff's officers that are here this morning, they probably had a specific meeting to, okay, what are we going to do in county court today if X happens? Is this even this simple suggestion from the Department of Justice being followed through as quickly as we had extra security out front here? There are answers to solutions available to make our jail safer so that no one else has to die. Collin County Jail had 0 in-custody deaths in 2024. Denton County Jail had 0 in-custody deaths in 2024. Those 2 jails combined are the size of Tarrant County Jail. Clearly, they're doing something that's working, and you should be doing everything in your power to find those answers, instead of spending your time on creating policies that punish people for uttering a few swear words.
Following Ms. Bussey, we have Joe Palmer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Faith Bussey. I live in Precinct 2 and am well represented by Commissioner Simmons, as she is one of the only commissioners seeking answers for families who have suffered an unthinkable loss in our county jail. So while you have the ability to call her classless for swearing, she is showing more care, fortitude, and Christian ethic of love thy neighbor than I have publicly seen from the rest of this court. Speaking of ethics, I have learned so much about this jail system since our friend Mason became its latest victim. The Sandra Bland Act, unanimously passed by the Texas State Legislature, requires the Texas Commission on Jail Standards to appoint an independent investigative agency for all in-custody deaths. The language of this statute could not be more clear. However, I learned that independent investigations are not happening. TCJS is not giving individual appointments, rather they are posting approved agencies on their website. Then law enforcement agencies like the Sheriff's Office, who by law require the independent investigations, are not allowing any other agency to do their own independent fact-finding or analysis of pictures, videos, documents, interviews, or other records. There is a great deal of finger-pointing about who is actually to blame, but regardless of who is supposed to do what, the law is being broken as we speak. If this court was serious about risk mitigation, it would be serious about making sure those independent investigations occurred without delay. The court would also personally be examining the processes and protocols that led to the highest rate of deaths in the state. It would be seeking outside consultants that could help improve processes. Instead of constantly spending more taxpayer dollars to defend against lawsuits it genuinely deserves to lose. It is my understanding that our county is not insured against these lawsuits, and at this point, you could not get insurance on it if you tried. That means taxpayers are on the hook for every, oops, a baby was born in a cell and died. Oops, we offered life-saving stuff and he died. Oops, I threw out 2 people from my court for protected speech. Oops, I violated the Open Meetings Act by voting on an agenda item before all the speakers had provided input. At some point, oops is unserious governance and callous lack of responsibility. My prayer is that every other commissioner will step up to do the hard things and find answers for these families beyond we investigated ourselves and found that we didn't do anything wrong.
Mr. Palmer.
Thank you. A jail variance in Texas is a permit that allows a jail to operate in a way that doesn't strictly adhere to state law. The following are some variances that Tarrant County Jail System uses. Green Bay has a variance issued in 1996 for a medical isolation cell that is shorter than the minimum required height. Jail standards require at least 8 feet, and this cell is 7'9". This variance has no expiration. Belknap is a variance issued in 1977 for it's almost 50 years, for an unknown number of cells that do not have an associated day room, no expiration. Belknap has a variance issued in 77 for an unknown number of corridors that are narrower than the minimum 4-foot width, no expiration. Belknap has a variance in 77 because remote control of doors is not provided. Jail standards require that all cells and day room doors can be remotely unlocked in the event of an emergency. This variance exempts Belknap from that requirement, no expiration. Belknap has a variance issued in 77 for a lack of administrative and booking space. This variance has no expiration. That one speaks to morale of deputies. That's not even standing up for inmates, you know? That's workplace conditions. Belknap has a variance issued in 77 for 5 day rooms that lack required safety vestibules. No expiration. Belknap has a variance issued in 84 for a lack of sinks required in the infirmary. It's starting to sound like Shawshank. This variance has no expiration. Belknap has a variance issued in 1988 for lighting requirements that are not met in the mental housing area. The jail standards have several lighting requirements reproduced below. Disregard that. This is the main one. The main jail has a variance issued in 1991 for fire hose standpipes that are spaced further apart than the maximum 100 feet. This means that not all areas are accessible with standard 100-foot hoses. The question I have is, are there hoses for those standpipes that are longer than 100 feet so that you can reach any area of the building if there is a fire? The reason I'm bringing up these variances, I think it's obvious, they contribute to a hazardous situation in the jails. And every day that goes by that these are not addressed, it creates vulnerability for more lawsuits. It creates vulnerability for more death. You know, maybe we're more worried about lawsuits than we are life. I don't know. I don't accuse anybody of that. But if you don't get up out of your chair when this meeting is gavelled closed and go check on Robert Bucher's son, go check on the jails, just go get your eyes on this, because when you run for re-election, you run to get elected to office, vote for me. I will have this power to help you and help the community. I have all this power. And then I'm saying we broadly, this goes to the state legislature, you get in office and something happens. Well, I can't do anything. The structure, the apparatus doesn't allow me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any announcements or comments from the commissioners? All right, so I guess I'll tell you, commissioners and public, I suppose, also. There are lots of discussions happening with legislators in Austin about a mental health facility or some options. I will actually be meeting with one of our state representatives who will have significant influence in how the money is allocated in the budget this year that they vote on Friday. And I'll be meeting with folks at the Tarrant County Days. And we have had multiple legislators in our office. And I feel like there's real traction. Of course, you never know what happens. We'll see how it goes. But we're working. And there's going to be different options that I think they're going to take a long, hard look at, so we'll see what happens. All right, now the court will recess the open session and proceed to closed session to discuss items exempt under sections 551071, 072, 074, 076, 087, and 0725 of the Texas Government Code. We are in recess until 11:57.
You know, Roger?
Who was missing one? All right, we're back from executive session. There is one item, E1, that does need action. Do we have a motion on this item?
Approval. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? We did have speakers. We already brought them up on this item, so, okay. Motion and a second with no discussion. Please cast your vote. All right, it passes 4-1. There's no further action to take, so we are now officially adjourned.